Hello all, welcome to Module 2, Part 2 of the SecurityTube Python Scripting Expert course and certification. In this video, we will look at directory navigation in Python. Now, as you can imagine, pretty much when you work with file systems, you would encounter files, directories, subdirectories, and huge such hierarchical arrangements. So to be able to programmatically list out files in a directory, traverse directories and subdirectories, etc., is something which would give you a lot of power over how you go ahead and uh, interact with local file systems. And this is exactly what we will learn in this video. So let me go back to my Python terminal, quickly hit Python. And in order to work with directories in specific, you need to import the OS module. Now, programmatically, to get your current working directory, you need to do an OS get cwd, and this will give you the absolute path to your current working directory. In my case, it is home SecurityTube module -2. Now, if you want to go ahead and create a directory, all you have to do is os.makedir and say new directory or anything you want to name it. And if you have the requisite permissions to create a directory in the current directory, it would work. So as an example, if you notice, there is a directory called new directory within the current directory. Now, I will leave it to you to explore how to remove a directory. Let me know in the student forums how you did that. Coming back, let's import OS back. Now, one of the things which you'd also want to do probably is to be able to list the files and directories within a given directory, right? So as an example, to do that, you would just do os.listdir, and this would go ahead and return os.listdir, and you have to give it the path where you want to list all the file and directories. In my case, I've just given it the current directory, and there you go. This beautifully returns a list of all the files and directories within the current directory. Now you could go ahead and change this, give it the root, and if you notice, it gives you all the directories and files in the root directory. Now, one of the things is that when you see this listing, there is no way you can figure out which one of these are files and which one of these are directories themselves, right? So how do you do that? Now, the OS module offers quick tests to figure out if any one of these entities in the list is a file or a directory. Now, to do that, all you have to go ahead and do is call os.path, and after that is file or is dir, right? Is file is for a file, is dir is for a dir. Let's try and write a simple code snippet for it. And personally, I prefer to work with the interactive prompt simply because before writing a very long and lengthy program, it automatically tells you at every step where you're making mistakes, right? So a very good way to probably learn is to use this prompt, work with it, and then move back and create a real full-fledged program. So now let's go ahead and write a simple piece of code. So let's say for items in os.listdir, and what we want is the current directory. Now let's test for every item. If os.path.isFile, right, then what we want to do is print item is a file, right? Else if os.path.isdir, this is basically the test if that is a directory, print item is a directory. And then finally, the final else statement, which is print unknown. So quick question, will you ever hit this in a typical Linux file system? Again, try and answer this in the student forums. Okay, so if all my syntax is well and good, which unfortunately it is not, oops, this was the most stupid thing. Basically all we had to do was item rather than items here. You guys should have warned me, right? It's bad to see the professor fail in class. Blah blah blah. Okay, let's go back. Print item as a file, fantastic. Okay. There you go. And if you notice, now it says spse2 is a file, dir.py is a file, swap file is a file, and it says new directory is a directory, sub is a directory, right? So nothing unknown here, nothing from another world. So this is how very simply you can figure out the listing in a directory and then figure out which of these are files or which of these are directories themselves, right? Now, as you can clearly imagine, when let's say you have a very large directory, or when you're writing a program which may even recursively be going inside directories to search for stuff, and this is the exact exercise you're going to do with this video, what you would want to do is search for specific kind of files rather than go ahead and probably go with the default listing. So to do this, you have to import another module called glob, right? And this allows you to do a bit of wildcard search and stuff like that in the current directory listing. So let me give you an example. Let's just go for the basic invocation for item in glob.glob. Now what you will need to do is basically go ahead and give this the path, the absolute path, as well as the exact file wildcard which you want. So here is what we'll do. We have to give os.path.join, and let's say we give the current directory, and for the time being let the wildcard be asterisk, which is all the files. Now this wildcard expression here basically is the same one which the Linux bash shell supports for its own wildcards. You can read the documentation as well. It's pretty simple to use. Now the whole idea here is that this expression should go ahead and return all the files, right? So let's just do a simple print item, and as expected this prints everything out. Now if let's say all we are interested in is the Python files, then let's modify this and say star.py is all we want. Now let's print the item, and if you notice, the only thing printed was the py files. Similarly, all you can do is you can say, hey, all I'm interested in is in the text files, right? And now it just prints the text file. Fantastic, right? So this gives you the ability to quickly filter or write filter expressions and only get specific files and directory which match your criteria. So investigate more into this. When you have a very large file listing, probably glob is not a good option. There is another option, but I leave it to you as an exercise to figure out what it is. Go through the glob documentation in Python and you will have the answer. So The first exercise I want you to try out is basically create a program which takes an input as an absolute path to a directory, and from that directory onwards recursively travels all files and directories within and prints the file listing in a hierarchical way like here. So let's say from the current directory where you started and invoked the program, other directories are A. Within A, you have A.txt as a file, B.txt as a file, and B as another directory. Within B, you have C.out as another directory, right? And this is how the listing should look like with the dashes kind of signifying the exact hierarchy of the current file relative to the rest. Now, here is another exercise which I want you to do. For any given file name, what I want you to do is figure out which specific API allows you to go ahead and print out stats on it, which is such as the file size, creation date, modification date, absolute path, all of that stuff, right? So write this. This is the second exercise with this video, and please feel free as always to post your doubts and questions in the student forums, and we'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you very much and have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.